Welcome, everybody. It's Analena here. Welcome to another episode. So, we were just launching this episode, and it's 11/11/2022, and we started recording at 11/11. So, this is going to be a very special episode, and I have my dear friend and colleague, Janet Shiner, here with me. We're going to share how we met and all this good stuff. I'm just going to briefly introduce her, and then we're going to take it away. So her name, like I said, is Janet Shiner. She has been an elementary school teacher for 23 years. It is her mission to share her powerful SHINE method of transformational journal writing to empower others to rise up through life's challenges. And she uses this method to get through her painful divorce and flip the script on negative thoughts and worries to create a shining life. And she's a sunshine, I have to say that. Just always shining, Janet. And so she is the author of the Journal to Shine, a 30-day guidebook to attract more move, abundance, and happiness into your life. She's also a level 2 Reiki practitioner and a trauma-informed yoga and mindfulness teacher, a law of attraction writing coach, and she's also a certified transformational health and life coach through the Health Coach Institute. And that's how we met. I do remember that. So without further ado, welcome to the Art of Slowing Down podcast. China.
Thank you, Analena. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm so glad to connect with you this morning. It was so funny that when we first started, it was 11:11 because you know how much I believe in signs.
Yes, no, it's those angel numbers, right? I also I did actually a big thing about the 11/11 portal. I truly believe it's a very potent time, and I believe there are no coincidences that we're actually doing this at this time. So there, everybody that's listening, even though when you listen to this, it's not going to be 11/11, but that's the energy when we recorded this. So this is a very, very special episode.
Yes.
So,
And I remember when we first met, we both graduated from the Health Coach Institute.
mhm,
And I was really drawn to you when we first met. I had a few emotional acceptance sessions with you, which were so
mhm,
powerful.
yeah,
And for me, being a first grade school teacher, I'm very used to teaching in person, but
yeah,
it was my goal to show up online. And that for me was a little more challenging.
yeah.
So after we had a few of our sessions together, if you remember, that's when I first offered my 5-day free Return to Love journal experience.
Yeah, no, I do remember that. Actually getting goosebumps thinking about it. And so, yes, we were doing the inner healing work, right? Working with our
Mhm.
emotions. And you also, just like me, being an introvert, right? It's not the easiest thing to just get out there and online. So that was a huge accomplishment for you, right? So just like you did it and you put yourself out there. And so actually what I would like to talk with you about is because we are talking about slowing down, right? And
Mhm.
I just want to let the listeners know. So Janet is a 6-2 generator with sacred authority in human design. And we can get impatient. And you had this vision, you had this idea back then. I remember we had the sessions, and Alina, I have it all written. It's all ready, the courses and the book and everything was ready.
Mhm.
Um, However, at the time, even though, right, you made huge shifts, you did the 5-day challenge, but you didn't right then and there force yourself into like, I have to force myself now to write the book or to publish the journal. So I would love to hear from you, like the power of waiting, the power of patience, and then you as a generator through responding, how did it all come about that you actually made your dream come true?
Well, I'm glad you asked. As you said, I started writing the book over 5 years ago, and I very slowly and consistently kept adding to the book and fixing and editing and making it come into a reality of actually being on Amazon now.
Hmm.
But the thing is, I spend my days working as a first grade school teacher, and I'm super thankful for my job. I love what I do, but I also had this passion to bring my love of journaling out into the world to help others. So I very slowly and consistently continued to do that. And what happened was, it's very interesting. Last year, one of my little first grade students had a yellow journal on his desk,
Mhm.
and it immediately caught my eye. And I asked him about it, and I said, "Oh, you know, what is this all about?" And he explained that his father published this journal. So, fast forward a few weeks later, and I saw the dad at field day, and I explained to him that I've had this goal of publishing my book, which was sitting on my MacBook for over 5 years. And
Mhm.
he said, "Oh, I'll put you in touch with my friend who's in Omaha, Nebraska, and she will help you. She's helped me publish several books."
Mhm.
And that for me felt really comfortable, and I knew I could trust him and trust the publisher. And it felt like just a hell yes.
Like an
And
aha.
I remember coming home and saying to my husband, "I finally found a way to publish my book."
Mhm.
And I continued doing with that. We had several author retreats virtually, and little by little, she helped me make it a reality. So it was just a matter of being patient and waiting for the right time. And I really do believe in divine, perfect timing. And
Yeah.
that for me was the perfect time to release the book.
Yeah. Janet, this is so beautiful because, I talk a lot about human design, right? And that's one of my biggest messages. And I honestly, I need that reminder myself all the time that, because, like you, 5 years ago, you had this idea and you even already created it, probably also through responding in some way, right? The content for the book and the journal. But we often tend to like, I need to make it happen, right? We are in this like, I want to be
Hustle,
successful, right? Exactly. The
hustle
hustle.
mode, hurry.
Mhm.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that way.
Yeah. And your story just is it's like a prime, beautiful role model example. You being a six line, it's called the role model in human design, right? Where when we just trust that when the right time comes, it will happen with so much ease, and that's what happened, right? You didn't go that day to school and expected, oh, how can I publish my journal today, right? It just happened out of, yeah, the synchronicities of life, or the universe, like, all right, Jenny, now's your time. So you saw the journal, your sacral responded, oh, let me ask him, right? So you responded to that sensation, and because you love that journaling and you were curious about it, and then you didn't know, okay, oh, my dad, and he published, and let me connect, and then weeks later you saw him again. You probably didn't have any expectations, right?
Right.
So you just wanted to ask about it, and let's
Very
start.
easy. And then things come with ease and grace. And, I talk about that in the book. The whole art of manifesting is, of course, first to be really clear about what it is that you desire,
Mhm.
and then to ask the universe for that. So I started putting it out there, talking about it, talking to you
Mhm.
about it. And I said, one day I'm going to publish this book.
Mhm.
And then the next step would be to believe that you're really worthy of it. And I've always been a writer, and I've been journaling for over 20 years. And I knew that this was going to happen.
Mhm.
And finally, just being open to how I was going to receive it, and not trying to force the way that it was going to come into the world.
Mhm. Yeah, that's just so amazing. I love that. And I want to say something. So with knowing exactly what we want, right? I can share with you from my case. I've had many times where I had no idea what I wanted. But there are times, like I think with you with a journal, like you didn't come up with this, like figuring it out, or like I need to know what I want. It just I always say it comes from your heart space. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you just know, right? And I have this dream. I want to have a retreat center in the Tuscany one day. I've had it for years already, and it's not reality as of today, right? But it feels so good to talk about it, and And again, this is not because somebody asked me, what's your if somebody's going to ask me, what's your like 5-year goal or plan? I'm like, I don't know, you know, but there are times and places, again, that's from my own experience, what I found that sometimes we know very specifically what we want, but that comes about also with ease, the knowing. Do you find that true as well?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, when I first started journaling, mostly I was journaling about the negative things going on in my life through my divorce. And,
Mm-hmm,
I realized that something had to change. And that's when I flipped the script to gratitude.
mm-hmm,
And once I started focusing on the more positive things and all the amazing things that were going well in my life, as you know, energy flows where your attention goes.
yeah.
And when I started working with gratitude and, like you were saying, visualization and just allowing yourself to really tap into your inner heart guide and really realize what you want to create in the world, your thoughts are very powerful. They literally create your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you really can create anything if you just take the time to slow down and meditate and just go inside and see what it is you really want.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I would love to hear a little bit more about you call it the flip the script method, right? Because
Mhm.
I mean, let's be real. We also, and I know we worked on that together for a long time, the emotional acceptance we worked on. We also at the same time have to honor how we sometimes feel crappy, how we have fears come up, right? So I would love, so let's say, let's talk about money, for example, right? Let's say somebody has very negative experiences with money or fears are coming up currently. How would you support them with your journaling method? Like what is like what's the steps that you would take?
Well, one of my most powerful journal tools, I offer 30 in the book. One of my favorites is called a worry dump. And the worry dump is in
That
the
feels so
morning.
good. Just hearing it, it
It's
feels
good
really good.
stuff because let's face it, life can be really challenging and we
Yeah.
all have worries. And that's just the job of the ego to keep us safe. And, we have these worries. And the worry dump helps you in the morning to just release through the power of the pen all the worries and the things on your mind. And like emotional acceptance, once you write them down and you start accepting them, that's when you can start to move through them into a more positive place of gratitude and love and higher vibrations. So I would definitely suggest the worry dump first. And of
Okay.
course, flipping the script.
Yeah, so tell me more. So the worry dump, I get it. And then another question is like some things that I have done in the past, if I write down what I no longer want, right? Like the worry dump, do you like recommend burning it, the page, or like because like let it energetically go? And
Mhm.
what do you recommend there?
I personally don't burn mine because I love to look back at my journals years
Mhm,
later. It's
mhm,
very rewarding for me to see the path that I've navigated. So
mhm.
I personally don't burn my journals because they're like a sense of real accomplishment for
Yeah,
me. I have journals and I look back and I'm like, wow, it empowers me to keep going. And
yeah,
but
yeah.
I do like to like sage on the weekends and clear my space and clear the energy and
Yeah, I love it. And of course, I mean, I wasn't like thinking about burning the journal. Well, when I do it, I have done it on a piece of paper and then gone outside and kind of like to release it. But I love the saging where you can just kind of like, this has been my reality. We're gonna love it, and I'm gonna smudge over it. So that's beautiful.
exactly.
Okay, and then so you do the worry dump, and then what's next?
So after you get all of the negativity out onto the page, then I would suggest something called flipping the script, which in my book I suggest that people often have a very victim mindset, and you can change that into an abundance and love mindset
Mhm.
by using self love language. And this is the way that you talk to yourself all throughout the day. So we all have this inner voice that helps guide us throughout the day. And we have over 70,000 thoughts in a day. And if you really pay close attention and become very aware of your thoughts, you can use journaling to help you to change those thoughts to more positive thoughts. Like instead of saying, oh, I can't do this, you would say, I'm going to learn how to do this.
Yeah, I love that.
So
I love that.
it's in
And it,
that language.
yeah, and it's also because I think, I mean, there's so many thoughts, right? I would say I'm probably not even aware of all of them, right? Because there's just so many. But I guess when we just take, let's say it's just 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, when we just make this conscious effort, okay, even though because we cannot change all 70,000 thoughts, right?
Of
Um,
course.
but I guess just that focused time of like 10 minutes where we just like, okay, and it's like building a muscle, right? Like when you train for a marathon or something like that, but where we just gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna start to build that muscle of focusing and a little bit more, right? Just a little bit more every single day.
Exactly. And Annalena, in the book, I give a lot of action steps.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to give you an example, instead of saying, I can't, I never, I have to, if you really listen to your inner voice throughout
Mm-hmm.
the day, you can start incorporating what I call the self love language. And this is an example of it. I can try to, I'm learning to, I'm proud of myself for. And it's really powerful. And I also incorporate this even into my first grade classroom with my little
Oh,
students.
they're so lucky. No, and what I have to say, what I love with you, you embody this because I know you have been journaling for years, right?
Mhm.
And when did that help you? And I think I mentioned in the introduction, like you went through divorce. Is that when you started the journaling? And can you explain
Absolutely.
to us what that helped you go through and shift in your life?
Yes, absolutely. So I've been journaling for about 20 years now. It first started when I was going through my divorce. And it's interesting because when I first started, I was jotting down all of the negative things in my life and the worries. And my children were really small, just ages 2 and 4. And I worried, how was I going to pay my rent alone? And how would I get my children off to daycare and then show up as my best for my students? And once I started doing that, I realized, this isn't working because the negativity was spiraling. And that's when I discovered flipping the script to gratitude. And every morning before I went off to work, and journaling only takes 5 to 10 minutes, but it's a super powerful skill of awareness. Once you start making that gratitude list in the morning, just 10 things, it really just is a game changer for the morning. And it carries you all throughout the day. It really does. That positive feelings and just that better mood and elevated emotions that you're feeling once you tap into gratitude.
Yeah, no, I love that. No, and it's also funny, like for myself right now, right? Because you are actually the second person also from HCI. I think you know him, Kristen Larson. He was also on the podcast. He also, I have it actually right now here, Joy of Being. So
I
he,
love that.
yeah, so I just love that both of you, I remember we met in person. I don't, did we meet in person? I don't think so.
Not yet,
Yeah, not yet. So you have to come up to New
but
York,
we
right?
will. I'm going to come to your retreat when you make it.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, but him, I met him in person, and like, and now here we are, right? Like, and I mean, even including myself, now I have a podcast. I never thought I'm gonna have a podcast, And for me, it feels like, no, yeah, of course I have a podcast. What's the big deal, right? But I know if I would have been like 5 years ago, I would never have thought I would do that. Or now you guys have published a book. I mean, it's just incredible, right? And I feel so for me because you know my journey and we have been on this journey together because we have these polarities in life, right? It's like so I used to be in this space before I did the emotional work, right? Because you know that I have been done this for years, right? Because before that I tried to focus on journaling, on the positive stuff, but because I hadn't done the emotional work, the charge was so strong that was very, very hard for me, right? So I dove into like really allowing myself to feel the fears and the negative emotions and stuff like that. But there's also a balance with that, right? Where we don't want to get like stuck in that, you know, and because it can be, right? Like fear has a strong pull and so has love, right? So but we can only transcend the fear through loving the fear at the same time, right? Just like you like have the worry dump and bless it and smudge on it. And but now it's like, because in my case, for example, I feel like I have released so much of this like energetic stuff, right? The trapped emotions we have in our bodies. And look, this continues on, but I'm now like, I have learned the muscle to build like, okay, something uncomfortable comes up, I just deal with it in the moment. I no longer suppress it, right? Because that then comes back later. Um, but then again, now I feel, and this is just like, you know, you had the universe let you know now's the time to journal, to get the journal out into the world. It's like for me, you know, these things come in my awareness right now, just like in my podcast, right? That happen out of synchronicities and everything. So I feel like now then there's a time where you can actually, with very little effort, just like you say, 5 to 10 minutes a day or something like
Mhm.
that, really get incredible results. So just want to say thank you for
Oh, my pleasure. It's awesome. I'm so proud of you for creating this beautiful podcast.
awesome.
And just even the theme of it, Annalena, the art of slowing down to make quantum leaps is so key. And I know even for me being a full-time school teacher slash also a health coach,
Yeah.
it was very important for me to realize that, most of my day is teaching, which I love doing. And in time, that's when my gifts would come out into the world. And that's what I love your whole theme. It's beautiful that you don't have to hustle and push.
Mm.
If you trust in the universe always delivers.
I really believe so. And you know, yeah, you could have kind of pushed it 3, 4 years ago and got the journal out, but the energy would have been different. Maybe it would, there would have been problems. Like, because when something isn't meant to be, like resistance comes up because the universe is like, no, no, this needs to come out, not yet. Just chill out a little bit, right? So
Exactly. I meet a friend last week, and come the new year, I'm going to be offering shine circles for
hmm,
women, and we're going to journal together in person at a nearby healing center. So I'm super excited about that.
that is just amazing. And I wanted to, I mean, not only is your name Janet Shiner, right?
Yeah,
And also, so you was telling me earlier, so it's called Journal to Shine, and Shine stands for shift higher into new energy. I,
that's right.
I think that's just so beautiful. And you know,
Yeah.
one of the things, because in human design you're a generator, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
this is actually a really nice thing because I don't know if you know this, but we have this thing in human design. So I'm a manifesting generator, and I'm actually very multi-passionate. And in order for me to actually feel good and be energized and excited for my business and life, I need to have multiple things going on, right? Like, yeah, I have a podcast, and I have my the Aligned Living Academy with Miranda. We have the human design certification. I collaborate with other people. Like that actually energizes me. So oftentimes for the generators, like you're a pure generator, we have this saying, you are here to become masterful at like one thing. But I love your story because oftentimes people take it to extreme, right? Oh, if I'm a generator, I can only do one thing and nothing else. And you know, anybody that I've spoken to, like, I think every human is multi-passionate in some way, right? And I feel like, yeah, you have kept your main focus with being a first grade teacher, right?
Mhm.
And you followed that because even at the time when we were working, I know there was a part of you like, no, I just need to fully dive into being a coach. And because that's what everybody was kind of saying. And we tell ourselves, well, otherwise I'm not successful, I should quit my job. But for you, it felt true to continue being a teacher, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Now, while you did that, you still kept up your dream and this vision. And look, here now, Janet is. She is a school teacher, which she loves. She loves to work with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, just if you're listening to this and your kid is in her class, you're so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you can do two things at the same time. That's basically what I want to say, because I know oftentimes with human design, people start to kind of sometimes take it a little bit too black and white, like, oh, I can only do one thing and nothing else, right? No, you can still have passion. It's just like for the manifesting generator, it's more strong even so, and more consistently, where we actually like need that going on like at the same time. And it, for you, it wouldn't resonate most likely, right? Because you're so like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And the way that I did that was I love this saying, but I always say follow your fun.
Mm,
And so I would continue showing up, at my job. And I love my job. I work with very fun educators, and we have a great time. And then after work was over, I would say, and I just kept following my fun.
yeah,
And that's kind of how I got to be here as a guest on your podcast today. And I
yeah,
said, this sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
I love
key.
that.
Just keep
Yeah.
taking inspired action,
Mhm.
action towards your dreams.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing, right? You were sharing that you took like a book publishing course. It didn't feel
Mhm.
right, but at least you were kind of like, your intentions were there. Like, I want to make it happen. I don't know how, but you kind of showed that commitment to the universe, right?
Exactly. Taking inspired action towards your goal. I took a self publishing course online, and
Mm.
that felt very heavy and difficult for me. So I pivoted and I said, let's try something different. And I just kept
Mm.
trying. And then that's when I saw the yellow journal on my student's desk that day. And I was like, oh, well, this looks interesting. And publishing with my publisher at Concierge Marketing was just a delight. It
Mm.
really was. So I'm
This is another,
glad.
so I want to kind of reflect this back, because it's, again, I love these stories for us to help how this whole human design thing works, right? Because
Mhm.
you basically, you followed your sacral, and you did this self-publishing course, which you then learned, well, I don't like it. Because we also, following your sacral doesn't always mean everything is easy and you're gonna love it all. Like, it actually helps you to get clarity on, like, I think you got clarity on, like, I ain't wanna self-publish my book. It's way too hard. It feels off for me, you know? But
Exactly. Listening to that.
yeah, and you had to go through that experience to learn that's not what I want. Cool. I want it easier, right? And
Exactly.
then it came to you very, very quickly.
Yeah, and just being open to how you're going to receive it,
Yeah,
whatever it is that you want. Like, it's not always going to be how you imagine it or visualize it. You have to be flexible and just kind of like sit back and take your hands off the wheel
yeah,
and let the universe do its work.
yeah, exactly. So I let go of the how.
Exactly. I love
Yeah,
that saying.
and
But
and and
I
that's
do think it's also very important to note that if you just spend a few minutes in the morning meditating and just quieting all the noise, and we live in a very busy world. Marketing is always around us and trying to influence us. And if you just take a few minutes in the morning to quiet down and go inside and just listen to your inner heart space and just put your desires out into the world, really a lot of wonderful things will happen.
yeah, I love that. That is definitely, it's a good reminder, because we get so easily busy, grab the phone, and we have to do this and this and that. And I even find like, because we have so easy, well, I don't have time, right? But you know what? You can always set your alarm clock 10 minutes earlier. Nothing is going to happen if you have 10 minutes less of sleep, and actually take that time to just be calm. And I have to say, because and I mean, that's the reason why this podcast is called The Art of Slowing Down, right? Because
Mhm.
really, since I'm a kid, I remember when I was walking sometimes in the city of Cologne with my mom, and I was always walking so fast. And remember, my mom would like, why are you walking so fast? I also was a very fast eater. I would eat something and in 2 seconds, I mean, a little bit exaggerated, of course, but the pasta was gone.
Mhm.
So I was always kind of in a rush, and then I mean, I actually, which is kind of the funny thing, then I learned with human design, I'm a manifesting generator, and we're one of the fastest beings. We're here to create shortcuts. But it really opened my eyes. I can only tap into that magic if I slow down, because I am not going to be able to listen to my sacral, get the clarity that I need, and I need rest as well, like all of us do. So that was so beautiful, like how it took full circle with this message that it's really about cultivating the slowing down, and yeah, quantum leaps happen, but not when I'm looking for it, not when I'm trying to make it happen. They happen when I slow down without kind of agenda, right? When I'm just like, and what you say, I just follow the fun, which is actually that you're supposed to follow your sacral, which is like
Mhm.
following the breadcrumbs of the universe. I had like a couple of generators on my podcast that both use that term, and I find that so beautiful because it will only show you that next step. Like your next step was you see that yellow journal there, and your next step was just to ask the boy a question, and then you waited. And then the next step was like, oh, here you met the dad at like a event from school, and you had a fun conversation because you were curious. You didn't know this is all going to come about, and you're going to be connected to this publisher, and it's going to be so easy, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Mm.
It's awesome. And another important takeaway is that we need to just really work on your own self-love.
Mm.
The book is driven behind becoming your own self-love leader. And I think through your own healing and really just treating yourself with love and taking good care of yourself, that's when you really could step into your best self.
Yeah. No, I believe it. And I mean, we're all right. It's always, well, you have to love yourself first before anything, kind of, right? Even though it's a journey. I mean, we're not ever gonna get to like 100 perfect percent or something like that. But if we make that a priority to be gentle and kind with ourselves, and yeah, I definitely love it. So I'm gonna order that book on Amazon. I can tell you that once we get off the
Thank
call.
you. Thanks for your support and your
Yeah,
love as always.
yeah. No, I'm actually excited too. 'Cause I have to be honest, like full disclosure, like it does take something for me to really resonate when somebody talks about journaling or how to do it. But whatever you shared with me feels very light and expansive. Because if it's too rigid and like you have to do it this way, right? Yours feels more like, well, it's just a method and you just do it kind of your way, but it gives like kind of little
Guidance.
nudges, guidance, exactly, right? And that's even why I feel like we are coaches, right? We became coaches, and I think we have learned a little bit this, like we are here to tell the clients what to do sometimes, but what I have really learned for the most part now, having been a coach for all these years, I actually
Mm-hmm.
call myself now more like a guide,
I
because
love that.
I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
here to help you listen to your own voice. And of course, that's why I love human design so much, because yeah, I can reflect back things to you. I may already sense what's right for you, but it's going to be so much more powerful when you have that epiphany for yourself. And it may take a little bit longer than me just telling you, like, yeah, you should do this. And you're going to be like, but you may not be ready for it, or you may need to learn something first to actually fully embody that. So,
Exactly. And the 30 skills in the book, you can do them in any order. So you actually get to pick whichever skill you want to do first based on your inner heart guide.
oh my God, that's another thing, because if people are telling me, like, you have to follow it exactly those steps, I'm already like out the door.
No way. Very
Yeah.
flexible.
Yeah. So you have kind of like
Journaling,
a salad bowl and all these different fun things in there, and you eat whatever you want to have
exactly.
first. Yeah.
And Annalena, I don't know if you know, but journaling is actually It's actually scientifically proven
Mhm.
to be so, there are so many benefits of it, and it works with the reticular activating system in your brain, which tells your brain what to focus on and what's important to you.
Mhm.
So once you start writing down those things that are important to you, then your brain starts to focus on them and they come into your world. It's
Mhm.
like if you're looking for a new car and you
Yeah.
start to focus on like a white Honda Accord. And then over the next few weeks, you start to see that white Honda Accord on the road.
Yeah.
That's how the reticular activating system works.
Yeah. This is a cool part because you know what it's called RAS, right?
RAS, yes.
Because I remember I had a coach before, Sarah Longoria, in case she's listening, or people know her, I think. I remember her telling the story where I think it was about that, where you were really trying to focus on one color, you know, if it was yellow, and then people went into a room, and I think the room was maybe blue, but all they saw was yellow. Like there was, I don't honestly know exactly the story, but when she told the story, I was like, wow. Because there is some power. So I feel like I always have this thing like because so you know how I call it there's a difference for me between ego manifestation and let's call it conscious manifestation. So
Absolutely.
like when it's those things like let's say you through responding we're being generator types, right? Like let's say somebody's going to ask you what car do you want. Ego manifestation would be where we are like trying to think about it. What car should I have, or what should I like, or well, I shouldn't have a Porsche because that's way too expensive, or who am I, right? Like that would be, and then we could write down, I want to have a white Porsche, but it comes from the mind. It comes from like, I have to manifest this, and I think we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. I mean, we learned that in the law of attraction. But I feel, or what I have, I mean, what I sense is the truth that those manifestations, they will feel harder, they require more effort, and they're usually not sustainable because that's what's not what's was meant for us.
Exactly.
Because, so for example, not everybody's meant to be like a millionaire, right? And some people actually they don't care. It's not a
It's
thing
not
for them.
about that. Mm-hmm.
But they may like for example you, right? You're a school teacher. I mean, you're one of the happiest persons I know, and like that you could say, I mean, there may be another person for them that may be misery because they hate being a teacher, but you love it, you know, and everything is showing up for your life and everything, you have a beautiful family, you're fulfilled, now
Thank
you're a
you.
publisher, and everything is just orchestrating the way that it was meant for your soul curriculum. So with now like conscious manifestation, it's like, let's say, okay, you have this like, yeah, I kind of need a new car, like, you know this already. But again, we're slowing down, we're letting it go. And then one day you are kind of like out in the park and you see that white car and your sacral is like, ooh, I want to have that. Right. So that's how and even though you may think, well, how can I afford it? Or how can I get the car or whatever? um when we go from that place where we didn't force it through thinking through the mind,
Mm-hmm.
then because that's what human design really teaches us is like your mind is not here to figure things out, your mind is
Mm-hmm.
not here to make decisions, your mind is not here to decide what you want. That comes from like a feeling in the body. So and then yeah, you get that car in no time and you hear these stories, it was so easy. And somebody just called that they had the car here available and it was for a really big discount and I had the exact amount of money that was needed. And, like,
Everything lines up.
yeah, because it was meant for you,
I agree. I agree. That is so true.
Yeah. Because I have to say, I used to get caught up back in the day before I did all the inner work and human design came into my life, where there were these things where like write down what you want, and I had such a hard time with it because I was so in my head. Instead of like, I can't force those things. I just, okay, I can set the intention to have clarity on what I want and then let it trickle to me over time. It may take weeks or months. So
Yeah, but it will come to you eventually
yeah,
in perfect divine timing.
yeah, exactly. So it's all about trust, surrender, and all the good stuff that sounds so woo-woo, but guys, it works. It really does.
Absolutely. So this has just been wonderful. I'm so glad we were able to connect today and have some
Yeah.
fun and talk.
Yeah, it was such a joy. And one more thing actually that I wanted to touch upon with you. So you're a school teacher, and with the human design, right? Like I think I mentioned this to you before, like human design is actually meant for the children. And now we are so blessed to have this tool. But you as a teacher, I would love to hear from you. Can you see in the kids that they have different way of learning? Some may have more energy than others, and it can be all the same for everybody.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because being a school teacher for this many years, I've seen how my students learn in so many different ways.
Mm.
Sometimes students work better with visuals,
Mm.
other times they may be an auditory learner. So, just like human design, you being able to follow your unique way of learning and just operating best in the world, it's the same way that students learn in the classroom.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. And these are actually things you can see in a human design chart if somebody's more visual learner, auditory learner, or they work better with like the way they study and things like that. So some kids need to more follow up on things. For other kids, it just comes easy to them. It's so fascinating. So I love that you probably have that awareness and let the kids kind of be their own unique way instead of putting them all into a box, right?
Absolutely. We're constantly differentiating in the classroom depending on the different children's needs.
Oh, I love that. So thank you for leading the way there. I love that so much. And then as a final question, so how can people, actually, I have one more question after that, but how can people find you, get the book, get in touch with you? Let us know.
Well, you can go to www.janetshiner.com and you can find the link to my book there. It's available on Amazon. And you can also follow me on Instagram, and I have a private Facebook group called Journal to Shine. And right now, I'm working on balancing my full time teaching career and my health coaching. So I don't like to do too much at one time. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, of course, you have to prioritize
Balance.
your own. Yeah, that's so important. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And then my really final question is, what's like one intuitive nugget of wisdom that, especially today, we have this 11/11 portal.
I
22,
know.
like what's your guidance for everybody that's listening?
Well, one thing that I would like to leave the listeners with is one of the quotes from page 5 of my book, which is magic and miracles happen when you look for higher guidance and work on your own self love and healing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's all an inside job, right? It's not.
Rising up to love. Keep returning to love.
Yeah, and that is really about loving yourself, right? Yeah, and we need that reminder again and again. It's just so important.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much, Janet. This was just beautiful. I learned so much myself. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for being the light that you are in this world and getting this beautiful journal out. And yeah, just thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Analena.
Beautiful. So I hope you guys loved the conversation. I sure did. And I am really excited to be with you all on the next episode. And of course, we would love to hear your takeaways. And are you going to start journaling?